Please.
A child and adolescent psychiatrist and the director of Center for Early Development Learning and Care, Dr. Yetunde Adeniyi, who organizes annual awareness programs, said autism can sometimes run in families, though it is difficult to detect before birth, as it does not present visible physical signs in infants. She noted that despite increasing awareness, discrimination against children with autism persists, adding that more efforts are required to promote acceptance and understanding.
Up until maybe 10 years ago, so many people were not aware of what autism is. Even right now, there's still something that people are getting to know about. So the day was set aside to basically talk about it. Actually, it's a month-long program. But that 2nd of April, which is the day that is being set aside, is the day that worldwide autism will be celebrated. So there will be different programs to educate people about the disorder. Autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. What that means is that a child comes with it. It's not something that they acquire, after they are born. Usually it runs in families or something that happened during pregnancy that complicated the pregnancy. Out of the about 20 schools that we went to, close to 15 said no, that they were not coming. That's not going to be able to come, and because they don't want it to be transferred to the children. It took us back several years, with those reports that we got.
Dr. Adeniyi expressed hope government interventions will improve, particularly in addressing the needs and challenges faced by children with special needs and their caregivers.
It's very tough for families to take care of children who have special needs because of the financial implications, the emotional. Little support would go a long way. So the government has a role to play in terms of, apart from supporting families directly, they can also equip the schools. For instance, every school should have a special teacher, or a teacher that is trained specially to look after children who have disabilities. There should be materials, visual aids, things that the schools can use to teach them, because the way we teach them is a bit different from what we do. So those are some of the things that the government can do.
As the world marks this year's observance, stakeholders are calling for collective responsibility in building an inclusive society where individuals living with autism are supported, valued, and given the opportunity to reach their full potential. Adebayo Abdurrafi, BCOS News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is set to embark on a nationwide voter validation exercise ahead of the 2027 general elections. The directive is contained in an internal memo signed by Secretary to the Commission, Dr. Rose Oriara Anthony, and addressed to all resident electoral commissioners. According to the document, the decision to conduct the exercise stems from the need for a credible voter register, a topic extensively discussed during the Commission's strategic retreat held in Lagos earlier this year. The memo indicated that the revalidation exercise would follow a hybrid model, allowing citizens to participate both online and at designated physical centers. It said the physical center would be established at the local government areas, registration areas, and polling units across the country.
In the world of sports, the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) has inaugurated its Electoral Committee and Electoral Appeals Committee tasked with conducting and adjudicating the upcoming elections into the NFF Executive Committee for the 2026 to 2030 term. The NFF President Alhaji Ibrahim Gusau performed the inauguration today at the NFF Secretariat in Abuja. He charged members of both committees to discharge their duties with integrity, without fear or favor to any candidates. Barrister Matthew Boka, who spoke on behalf of the committees, assured stakeholders of their commitment to transparency and excellence. The NFF Executive Committee elections are scheduled to hold in Lafia, Nasarawa State, on Saturday, 26 September 2026.
On the foreign scene, a 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck in the Molucca Sea off Indonesia's Ternate Island earlier today, killing at least one person. Foreign News Editor Folashade Akintola compiled details of the incident and other foreign stories. Our report is presented by Bimbo Akobi.
The earthquake, which struck at 0648 local time that is about 22:48 GMT, at a depth of 35 kilometers, sparked tsunami warnings which have since been withdrawn. A 70-year-old woman in North Sulawesi died after being crushed by building debris, and another person broke her leg after jumping off a building, Indonesia's national news agency Antara reported. While the region experiences high levels of seismic activity, some residents told the press that this was one of the strongest earthquakes that have felt in at least the past 6 years. The Hawaii-based Pacific Tsunami Warning Center initially warned that tsunami waves less than 0.3 meters, that is about 1 feet, were possible along the coast of Guam, Japan, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, and Taiwan. The tsunami alert was lifted after 2 hours. Even the roads outside the house were shaking, she said, adding that the earthquake feels like the strongest she's experienced over the past 6 years. In the meantime, a man has died near Athens as a storm hit parts of Greece with gale force winds and flooding, while a Saharan dust storm enveloped the island of Crete. The man was found under a car in the near Makri rural area early on Thursday, according to the fire department. Storm Herminio has flooded streets, closed some schools, and moored ferries. Meanwhile, some flights were disrupted on Crete on Wednesday after dust from an African storm filled the air, turning the sky red-orange. The weather was expected to be bad on Thursday in most areas of the country, with long-lasting and intense rains and storms, and possibly with local hail, according to the National Meteorological Service. A red warning is in place in Crete, mainly in the west and south, from midday until late at night on Thursday. The fire department received 674 calls for assistance from Wednesday through the early hours of Thursday. The majority were in the Attica region that encompasses Athens, with most calls for fallen trees. High winds have kept ferries moored in ports, with Greek media reporting some departures, which may resume very soon, weather permitting. And lastly, more than 1,800 civilians have been killed in Burkina Faso since Ibrahim Traoré seized power 3 years ago in acts amounting to war crimes and crimes against humanity, a new report said. Human Rights Watch HRW says about 1,837 civilians, including dozens of children, were killed in 57 incidents between January 2023 and August 2025. It attributed most of the killings, that is about 1,255, to the military and allied militias, with the rest blamed was to tackle the jihadist groups linked to Al-Qaeda, who have been waging an insurgency in Burkina Faso and neighboring countries for over a decade. Al-Qaeda, who have been waging an insurgency in Burkina Faso and neighboring countries for over a decade and control huge parts of the country. Burkina Faso, like its neighbors Mali and Niger, which are also under military rule, has moved away from working with Western countries, especially France, in its fight against the Islamist groups. All three have instead turned towards Russia for military assistance. However, the violence has continued unabated. Bimbo Akambi, BCUS News.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. President Bola Tinubu is in Jos Plateau State following the deadly attack in the Jos North local government area that left at least 28 people dead and 22 others injured. Students of the University of Jos have been evacuated to the old airport roundabout in Jos Plateau State following the closure of the institution amid the rising security concerns in the state capital.
The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) has deployed over 57,000 officers across the country ahead of the Easter celebrations to strengthen security and ensure a peaceful holiday period.
Nigeria's First Lady, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, has declared that Child malnutrition remains a pressing national priority.
And on the foreign scene, a 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck in the Molucca Sea of Indonesia's Ternate Island earlier today, killing at least one person.
That's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Ajedoni Olojede and delivered by
Idowu Shekoni.
Afolakemi Akombi is my name.